Well, welcome to Run, Walk, Talk, Tales of Inclusion and Development. I'm Judy, and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm here with Steph, whose pronouns are also she and her. And today we have a special guest, Sharon Pendlington, and we're going to discuss menopause and talk about why it matters, how it impacts women, and what organizations can do to better support it. And so before we begin, Steph, why don't you share a little bit about Sharon?
Yeah, thanks, Judy. So Sharon is a health and well-being coach who's spent the past decade helping women navigate menopause with less stress and more confidence. She specializes in supporting midlife women to restore their sleep, like who doesn't want better sleep? Come on. Stabilize their moods, and rebuild energy and relationships that matter. She's the founder of the 90-Day Stress to Serenity program, which is a group coaching experience for women in perimenopause and beyond who are ready to break free from stress and shift from surviving to thriving in menopause. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you both.
Yeah.
Oh, well, absolutely welcome. And, we'll dive right in. And I think, our first question is really, it seems like we're hearing a lot more about menopause, lately, particularly this year. And why do you think that is?
Yeah, great question. I mean, there are over 1 billion people in menopause and postmenopause. And why haven't we been talking about it until
Hmm.
now? We have a male-centric medical system. It's left women underserved, understudied. But I really think that women are just being more empowered to advocate for their health now. And they're being more vocal about it. So I don't know about you, but when I started menopause, I went to my family doctor and they said, this is normal. This is just getting older. Just suck it up. You just wait a few more years. That's the answer I got. And I accepted that at the time. I think part of it too is that women now have more options to work outside of their family doctor. So
Hmm.
with integrative, functional, holistic practitioners. So there's other options if we're not feeling supported through our primary care provider. And of course, as we're more vocal, then that drives more medical research and more shift in the medical system. So it all drives that forward, just that there's more information finally available.
So good. Really great. Great to see that. And so, Sharon,
Mhm.
tell me, we've heard a variety of sort of changes, but give us the sort of the rundown of what changes can women expect leading up to menopause? What are some common symptoms? What are maybe some not common symptoms? Things like that you've seen.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And I might just preface because not everyone is aware, just the briefly the hormone changes. So
Yes, please.
perimenopause starts in our mid 30s. I was like 33 probably when I
Hmm,
started having symptoms,
hmm.
when the ovaries produce less progesterone.
Okay.
And then there's this roller coaster time where we have for a lot of people, it's symptoms similar to PMS, but they can happen anytime.
Mm-hmm.
They can pop up anytime. They can last for months in a row and then completely go away. So there's this kind of
Mm-hmm.
hormone
Mm-hmm.
roller coaster. And then estrogen starts to decline as we get closer to menopause. And the average age of menopause is about 51. But
Mm-hmm.
some people are 60 and still
Mm-hmm.
menstruating.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, these changes to hormone levels are experienced as hot flashes, night sweats, mood disruption, sleep disruption, memory lapses like
Mm-hmm.
brain fog,
Mm-hmm.
headaches,
Mm-hmm.
changes to their menstrual cycle. So maybe your periods are quite heavy now, or they eventually will become irregular, libido changes, fatigue. So those are kind of the most common symptoms I would say
Mm-hmm.
experienced. Our hormones, of course, are responsible for so many of our body functions. So there's some seemingly unrelated symptoms that could be due to the hormone changes of menopause.
Mm-hmm.
So tinnitus is one, burning
Interesting.
mouth syndrome, heart palpitations, digestive changes, muscle and joint pain, For me, I would say the biggest symptoms were mood swings, like wild mood swings. Oh, my
Mm-hmm.
family would probably say rage, not a mood
Mm-hmm.
swing.
Mm,
And then memory lapses. Like I could
mm-hmm,
not remember my family's name, their first name. Forget about
Yeah.
neighbors I would walk
Yeah.
by in the neighborhood. Could not
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
recognize them. My husband would say, okay, so that is so and so. They live 2 doors down from us. Because I would
mm-hmm.
forget.
Wow.
Yeah.
And certainly insomnia was one of my biggest struggles during perimenopause.
Mm, mm. And it's going to show up, I think you mentioned this differently for d different people, right? So the experience that you have may be different from what Steph experiences or what I experience. And in thinking about that and the workplace, like how might it affect somebody's performance at work, or what should somebody be aware of when they're thinking about work and things that they might notice?
Yeah, great. So 80% of people will experience neurological changes during the menopause transition. So that would include temperature regulation because it's actually the estrogen receptors in the brain that regulate our temperature that are changed during menopause. So the hot flashes, night sweats, sleep disruption, but also cognition and mood. Those are
Mm.
the biggest complaints. So I think I feel like maybe one in three. I'm trying to think of the statistics, but I think 1 in 3 people say that their menopausal symptoms impact their work performance.
Mhm.
And those are the main complaints around mood,
Yeah.
cognition, sleep, hot flashes.
Wow. And especially, I feel like at a time when women are kind of at their, could be at the height of their career, right? As they're moving into sort of manager, senior manager, director roles, and all of these things are going on. And
Yeah.
so let's
Mhm.
throw on then sort of when we think about stress. And so how does stress on top of like affect the experience of perimenopause and menopause?
Yes, I love talking about this piece because it's something that we actually have control over
Right,
and as a way to manage our symptoms naturally, whether or not we also decide to take menopausal hormone therapy or
right,
supplements or any other lifestyle
right.
changes we make. So,
Yeah.
what most people are not aware of is that as our ovaries are producing less of our hormones, our adrenal glands are meant to produce some of those hormones for us so that we can avoid
Mm-hmm.
those really hot, the really big highs and the really big lows,
Mhm.
Okay.
which is great. We have this backup hormone system to help us get through perimenopause. That the adrenal glands are also responsible for producing our stress hormones, and they are not going to produce both. So if we're busy producing stress hormones, we're not producing our sex hormones. And most of us are under stress all the time. Most of us are in chronic stress, whether it's just driving to work or, just everyday things, but especially for people that identify as female, we're overdoing, overthinking, over planning. We're also, society fosters us to, we're very outcome oriented. It's all about performance. So this can lead to just chronic stress. Often it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
emotional, psychological stress. It could also be physical stress in the body. If we have inflammation or an injury, that's gonna lead to the stress response too.
So what can we do about that? Like what can we do to help ourselves if we're feeling this overwhelm and this stress?
So a couple ways that I can, top of my head,
Hmm.
there's if you already know that you're stressed,
Hmm.
then we need to find a way to regulate the stress response. So, we need to stop the body from producing that cortisol that keeps us in the stress response and prevents us from making the estrogen and progesterone that we need. So there's lots of ways to regulate our nervous system once we're already overwhelmed or
Hmm.
stressed. So that might be breath work. It could be honestly just stopping what you're doing and taking a rest, like taking that break before your battery is on low. Like, not when you're already low. We need to do this.
Mhm.
We need to have the understanding of what's happening in our bodies moment to moment so we can make these choices to resource ourselves before our battery's too low. Um, there's a lot, nervous system regulation techniques like vagal tone exercises, tapping,
Mhm.
cold water on your face can be
Mhm.
helpful. It kind of resets the nervous system. So there's lots of little ways when we're already in the stress response that we can regulate things. Ideally, we would try to avoid getting into the stress response
Mhm.
or get out of it as quickly as we can.
Mhm.
So, for
Mhm.
instance, imagine I mean, I'm always in this situation, so I assume everybody else is as well. But you're driving in a car with somebody else and you get stuck in traffic. And have you ever had that experience where they're totally fine that they're stuck in traffic? They're humming along to the radio, and maybe you're looking up on your maps how, okay, if you take a right here and then go left here, we can avoid this. And you're already calling people at work to let them know you're going to be late for the meeting, or you're texting someone, you're trying to fix all this.
You're stressing me out just by like I'm right with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how quickly our body's so
Yes.
familiar with this
Woo.
response. We can just think about it and get right back into
Mhm.
that stress
Mhm.
response.
Mhm.
So same situation,
Mhm.
both people stuck in traffic. One person is not
Mhm.
stressed, the other person is. So we all have these automatic ways of reacting to stress that we've practiced a lot, that we've gotten really, really good at. Right? So
Mhm.
mine was not sleeping. I practiced it for 20 years. I got really, really good at thinking in the middle of the night. I needed to start practicing not thinking. Okay, that was my coping technique. If I think about it enough, I can fix
Mhm.
things even in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
But how can I get out of this stress reactivity pattern that I have? So we need to first notice that this is our pattern, whatever it
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
It could be
Mhm.
avoidance, it could be blame. It like
Mhm.
there's so rumination and over worry. All of us have different stress reactivity patterns that we were taught at a young age. Those messages were passed along to us, and we're still carrying those beliefs.
Mhm.
So if we can recognize them and then find alternative ways of coping with the stress, then we're actually addressing stress at the root cause. So we're not going into that stress response as often, and we're practicing other ways of coping. So those become more familiar to us. And this
Mhm.
is
Well,
this is neuroscience, right? That we get good
Mhm.
at
yeah.
what we
Mhm.
practice. So
Well, and I like what you're sharing because I think that they're beneficial to women who may be in peri and menopause and menopause, but they also are tips people could be using at any point of their life. So, what I'm taking from this is that it's beneficial for us to get used to being aware, and that can only help us as we go into perimenopause and menopause if we start to lay some of this foundation ahead of time. Is that a fair assumption?
beautiful, Judy. Yeah, absolutely true. It's never too early to work on
Mm,
this, and it's actually never too late.
mm,
I didn't think I would be 51 finally figuring out that, the reason I wasn't sleeping was because I was an overthinker.
mm,
So it's never too early and never too late. And stress, we know, affects everything, every health condition out there. So it's not restricted to perimenopause or menopause, but it's certainly a time, our 40s, our 50s, where we are at the peak of our career. We might be
That's right.
caregiving for
Yep.
parents, maybe
Mhm.
children as well. We're
Mhm.
often responsible in our community. So we often have high levels of stress
Mhm.
just when we need our adrenal glands to be working so well for us. And they're
Right.
not because we're carrying so much stress.
Right. Oh, geez. Um, this has been a really great conversation. I feel like, we are just, Sharon, we'll have to have you back on again
mhm,
because we're just touching this sort of topic. I know you've shared a lot. We like to ask our guests before we say goodbye, kind of like, what are you reading these days? What podcast should we be listening to? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share. I don't know if you'll be able to see the book actually. So, this is the book. I just picked this up a week ago. It's called The Wisdom of Your Body. I do
Okay.
not read books as quickly as Steph does. So, I'm only on chapter two.
Okay.
But I love, so it's by Hilary McBride. It's called The Wisdom of Your Body. And as a meditation teacher, it's essential that we can tune into our body so we know where we're at. Am
Mm-hmm.
I hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Mm-hmm.
depressed? Am I
Mm-hmm.
tired? Am I in
Mm-hmm.
pain?
Right.
Am I overwhelmed? So that we know how to move forward. Otherwise, we tend to go through life on autopilot. We just do the next thing, then we do the next thing, and we find, oh, we're not living in alignment with our values at all. We're not resourced. We don't even realize we're overwhelmed until we're already there. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that she starts by exploring kind of the unhealthy ideas that we've inherited about our bodies and how that can keep us disconnected from ourselves and from the world around us. So that's what I'm appreciating about the book.
That's great. Well, Sharon, thank you so much for taking the time. Until next time, everyone, have a great day.
Thank you.